Welcome to another episode of Murray Needs a Haircut. Jason Bourne 3, also known as that, released in 2007 and directed by Paul Greengrass. Production value of 110 million, a domestic take of 227 million, an international box office of 216 million for a worldwide total of 444 million, giving them a profit of 334, less all marketing and associated costs. Starring Matt Damon, Julia Stiles, Joan Allen, Scott Glenn, and David Strathairn. Looks like Han. That spelling. This is a re-recording since the first one I did down in Tassie and the wind just made things impossible to hear. So instead I have wind chimes and dogs barking. I don't know if anyone else can hear them, but I certainly can. Characters. Well, you know, they're all the same. They really are. Yeah, there's no surprises here. Jason Bourne is still, doing Jason Bourne type things. Nikki Parsons is looking really tired to see him, to be honest. I mean, it's great to have her back. I love having Nikki on screen. You know, and this is probably the most she's ever got to do. I suppose you get to learn more about Nikki and her capacity and what she can do. And you had to learn something, right? Because Jason's just Jason. We're not getting anything new from Jason. He's still great, a good character, but we know him. We know him now. It's just like ding, ding, ding in the background. It's like really getting on my nerves. My favourite thing about this one is probably the main bad guy. He's intense. He's full on, full tilt at all times. He's sinister, actually. That's the word for him. He's a sinister sort of CIA operations manager. And you just know that you can only trust him as long as it's in his best interests or the company's best interest to do so. He's a good character to dislike. You know, the ones that you just want to see them fail. You want to see them have a really bad day. Well, that's this guy. So this will be fairly short. Like, characters get a 3.5. They might have been higher if there'd been more development or there'd been more, you know, something different or new or, you know, an extra layer. But no, as it is. The characters, they're good. Story. Well, you know, it's a standard Bourne story. In as much as there are government secrets and government people trying to kill other people to keep those secrets, well, a secret. Jason ends up in the middle of it again, and then so does Nikki Parsons in fairly short order after that. And then it's a chase and a hunt. Gotta get the MacGuffin-y briefcase full of stuff, the files to prove everything and connect everyone to everyone else. And it's that sort of story once again. It's really quite good. Mostly. It gives you closure to a lot of things. They could have left the story at the end of this film and never touched another Bourne movie, and you've got your trilogy. You've got your start, middle, and end. My only complaint is Jason Bourne, in many ways, is the least interesting part of this film. I say that because we already know he's got holes in his mind. Holes in his memory. We already know that he's chasing to fill them. We already know he's desperate. Desperate? Is that the right word? Driven? Determined? I don't think desperate's right, though. Anyway, he's very driven to find his answers, and we already know all this sort of stuff, right? Nikki Parsons running around and doing spy stuff. Really cool. But Jason himself, least interesting aspect of the story. I don't know what the dog's upset about, but it's not happy. There's still a lot of entertainment to be had in watching Jason basically interact with this spy world, dismantling an entire operation at the start, running through the streets, trying to stop an assassination, and then trying to escape from the assassin afterwards. The mounting pressure and frustrations and urgency that the CIA had to try and take down Jason Bourne, and the split between doing it the right way and doing it any way they can, and the way that the darker side of the operation goes all the way to the top. That was cool. Story, I'm going to go ahead and give it a 3.75. It would have probably been a 4, except there's a lot of sameness, and it's only by having interesting things happen around Jason Bourne that Jason is actually interesting at all. Look and feel. Okay. It's a spy action movie, and it looks like a really good one. Camera angles, all the sort of stuff. All the usual stuff I babble on about. Really good as usual. Same standard as before. Slightly better in many ways, and much, much worse in a few others. First of all, one of my favourite things, the very creative use of camera work, like over shoulders, from behind a pot plant, across a desk. This almost fly on the wall, you're a sneaky spy overlooking someone's shoulder sort of feeling. That made the movie feel very, very personal. It connected you really well. The other thing is their use of jump cuts and voiceovers. You know, people are talking and then the scene cuts to what's happening, what they're talking about. You can still hear them talking, but now you're watching the action. That very clever little thing. I love it when they do that well. And they do that a lot in here. Okay, that's the good stuff. The bit that I'm going to rant about for a moment is shaky cam. Stop it. Just stop with the shaky cam in this one. It isn't happening all the time, but when it is happening, it's happening a lot. It's like you've got to make everything so dramatic. It's really annoying. I'm trying to watch a decent fight scene. Like the fight scene, the choreography, you enjoy that sort of thing in these movies. But what I'm watching is just this blurry punch up in a small closet at a funny angle and people doing this and you don't know who's who. I kept wanting to enjoy the movie, but I kept having to guess what's happening through the blur. I think I bumped my microphone. It's irritating because when someone says, hey, do you want to watch Bourne 3? The first thing I think of is shaky cam. It's just right there in my brain now. Anyway, so look and feel, I'm going to go ahead and give look and feel a 3.25. I know the movie looks great. I know it's beautifully shot and all the attention to detail is fantastic. But that flaming shaky cam just throws me every time. It just, it bugs me. Script and dialogue. Well, it's pretty standard fare for a Bourne movie, to be quite honest. It's fast, it's clever, it's very, very smart. You get a lot of fast exposition presented in very interesting ways. You get characters you've never met before just dropped in your lap, and then you pick up who they are as you go along. You got your intrigue, your politics, your whispered conversations, and all the body language you have to interpret, because quite often the characters aren't saying anything, they're just looking at each other, or they're analysing each other, and you're trying to guess what the other person's thinking just the way they're acting. I thought the script was extremely well paced in this one. They led you into the quiet moments, into the high octane moments, then back to the calm again. There were a couple of plot points that didn't seem to connect so well. There were a couple of just holes in there, but it was presented so nicely with such a high degree of polish and really well crafted dialogue that you don't really think about it until much later, and then you don't really care either. They also managed to highlight Jason Bourne's intellect in this. The dude's smart and he's getting witty, a little sassy as well. They've really kind of upped how clever he is and how good he is at manipulating other people's expectations, emotions, and redirecting them to where he wants them to be while he goes and does something else. It's almost like he's learned everyone else's trick and just playing it back at them. And it turns out he's really good at it. There's a sequence in the third act where he actually tricks everyone into leaving so he can go into their offices, steal all their stuff, and then calls them to mock them about it. As he's doing it, causing them to go into a big panic and a rush back while he sneaks out again and goes and does the next thing. Very nicely done. They were very thoroughly played. And of course, my very favourite thing in these films, where people realise it's Jason Bourne, and when they realise what they're up against and they panic. And it would feel overused in any other franchise, but since this is an established trope, this is a thing that they do often, you're looking for it, you're expecting it, and it's kind of cool when it turns up. So script and dialogue sits up at a 3.75. Very nicely done, thoroughly entertaining as usual. Fun factor. Okay, so here's my quandary. Alright, I really like this movie, and at the same time, it's one of my least favourites because of the shaky cam problem. But then it's also one of my favourites because of the excellent everything else. So, that's an issue, isn't it? When I think about this film, I literally think shaky cam. And then, but that awesome train station sequence. Oh, and the great dialogue. Oh, Nicky gets to do things. Oh, and they got the bad guy. Oh, and the other bit, and the other bit, and the other bit. So it's all this excitement bubbling away, but my very first thought is shaky cam. So what does that do for fun factor? I think fun factor is going to end up on a 3. Because I certainly enjoy this movie. I really enjoy this movie. But there's just parts of it that make my teeth itch. I just can't do. Anyway, you've already heard me whinge about it. Final score, we add them all up, and it's going to be in the area of 17, I believe. I'm not 100% sure on that because I forgot to write down my scores as I went. So it's a best guess scenario at the moment. So it's 17 or whatever actual number I put there, you know. Anyhow, it's a very satisfying wrap-up to a Bourne trilogy. It'll make an excellent end of the story if they end of the story here, which they don't. They go on for a few more and possibly a few more after that, I understand. So I do recommend it, not just to complete the series, but because it is still a good action spy movie. It just may bug you if you don't like shaky cam. So that's my review. Hope you enjoyed it. As usual, like, share and subscribe. Share your thoughts down below on the Facebook page. But most importantly, I hope you're having a great week and that you get some time to go watch a movie.